Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
This is Elon Musk completely losing the plot.
President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America.
Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. The same guy who said that he should be allowed to terminate the Constitution is going to be the one to preserve it. Got it. Also, he says that Trump must win to preserve democracy. He's talking about the first person ever to refuse to abide by the peaceful transfer of power, the literal hallmark of American democracy. And yet, somehow, Trump is the savior of the same democracy that he tried to tear down. Maybe beware of billionaires supporting other billionaires who are only looking out for their billions.
By the way, you were the first one that posted the picture of him leaping with his belly hanging out, and you just said, oh my God, this is so cringe. You were the first one. Cringe was the was the word of the day. So cringe. I mean,
the extent to which he allowed himself to be red pilled or ran headfirst into the red pilling.
yeah.
I think it was 18 months ago where he came online and he said the only way for Twitter to be like an effective town square, a neutral town square, is for both sides to be equally as upset, is to like stay neutral. Cut to, it took this guy 18 months before he is standing on stage with the Trump rally, trumpeting Matt Gaetz level disinformation about a hurricane response, to the point where the Secretary of Transportation had to take time away from the hurricane response that he's helping oversee with the federal government for like 6 states that have been impacted where there's disaster areas, so he could tell somebody who presumably has access to accurate information.
Yeah.
And so that he can explain to him that there's no airplane blockade for rescue missions. Like, I mean,
I know.
talk about a big baby
Yeah.
that he needs hand-holding at this moment in time.
And then you tweeted his mother, who's like encouraging election fraud, basically, and you said this is illegal, and I have little doubt Elon's mom will probably be responsible for some idiots getting prosecuted for trying this. Well, there's people, Republicans, of course, being prosecuted in Michigan right now. It's like all of these stories, whether it's in the villages in Florida, end up being Republican voters that are.
It is interesting how these Republicans will throw their own loyalists, their own fans under the bus if it ultimately redounds to their political benefit. Like the way that Donald Trump himself has plowed through these people, has been responsible for 1,000 people being charged who came to the Capitol on January 6th, and yet there's always just another wave of people looking to do his bidding. But if they looked at what happened to the people who came before them, if J.D. Vance looked at what happened to the other guy who held his position before him, he might recognize, hey, attaching myself to Donald Trump usually doesn't work out for the guy who came just before me. Whether it's these people who came to his protests to storm the Capitol, whether it's the guy who was the VP before J.D. Vance was around. Like you got to look at the people who held the job before you.
Yeah. And by the way, just because you are a social media star, let's stay on Elon Musk for a minute. But is anything say more? So he sees the @America username on Twitter. I'm dead naming it like he does his trans child. Twitter. Anyway, like critics have blasted the takeover as lacking any company-related justification. They point out the original @America user had been vocal in disapproval of Musk and Trump's actions, calling Musk irresponsible, Trump's behavior anti-American during the COVID pandemic. In the newly acquired handle, Musk's @America account declared, "There's only one candidate in this race who's on the right side of the issues, Donald J. Trump." And we recall, we weren't that old, Brian, when Musk said for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral. They have no core principles anymore except Trump on that side. Anything they've ever said, right?
Steph, isn't it ironic that there was the America handle and that it was taken by force from Elon Musk so that he can just perpetuate straight disinformation and completely like turn the principles of what that account had been saying on its head because he wants Donald Trump to win. Like that is the perfect microcosm of this entire race.
And everything he said was projection, right? They're going to take away your right to vote. This will be the end of democracy if Trump doesn't win. They're going to end the Constitution. All the things literally Trump has said,
I do think that that's a deliberate strategy. I think that if they can make all of the things that the left says rightfully about Donald Trump, if they can kind of obliterate its meaning, then when we say it, it'll just feel like, oh, both sides are saying the exact same thing. Nothing means anything anymore, right? When Trump comes out and says that he did this a lot with Joe Biden in the 2020 election. He would say, or I'm sorry, in this election, but before Kamala Harris had taken the nomination, Donald Trump would come out and say that Joe Biden is a threat to America. Joe Biden is stealing the votes. Like everything that Trump had done, he would just cast his blame on Biden. He would say that Biden is weaponizing the DOJ. He would say that whatever it was,
right.
And his goal wasn't necessarily to make people believe the things that he was saying, but it was just to obliterate the very concept of truth. It was the Steve Bannon model of just flooding the zone with shit. And so the point of that. Oops, sorry.
All right.
Yes, I apologize. We won't, no more cursing. But it was the Steve Bannon model, and it was to really kind of turn on its head the whole idea of truth, so that people don't know what to believe. Again, it's not necessarily that they're going to believe what Trump is saying. They're just not going to know what's real, what's not, and it really is going to impact people's ability to be able to even discern accurate information from false information.
He actively puts out disinformation. He, actively will say, oh, it needs to be politically neutral. And then here's one headline. Wall Street Journal deep dive into Elon Musk's past donations reveals millions to GOP groups tied to Stephen Miller. They tried to put out an AI picture with Kamala Harris and Diddy. Well, Elon Musk's friendship with Sean Diddy Combs resurfaced after he questioned how many people in music and entertainment knew about Combs' alleged sex abuse. Musk had boasted about his friendship with Combs, right? He said, I don't know if you know this, but Puff is an investor in Twitter. He's a good friend of mine. We text a lot. I mean, everything they accuse other people of, they're guilty of, right?
It's just aging like milk in the sun.
Well, Brian, as we wrap up here, Chris and I were saying, and Jody, I was at a party yesterday, and we're at that part where people like us that are in the know, we're getting grabbed by the lapels and like, she's gonna win, right? We're like, nah. But and I keep saying, I'm afraid to say it, but yes, I think she's gonna win, and possibly really big. So it is a odd mix of being terrified, which I want us to stay terrified, but also. Yeah. Feeling really optimistic. How are you feeling?
I do. I feel the same way. Look, we of course have to, continue to stay vigilant, and even if people feel like we've got certain states, certain districts in the bag, that doesn't matter. You go out, because it's not just about winning this election. That's obviously the most important thing. But it's also about repudiating this whole idea of Trumpism. The only way that we will get back to a place where there's not such a huge incentive structure for people, not just like Trump, but also the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world, the Matt Gaetzes of the world, the Jim Jordans of the world, to stop them from feeling like those are the people who we should embolden to run for office. That's going to take Republicans losing by margins wide enough that they realize that if they want to be in power, which may not be their goal, by the way, maybe they want to be a minority party. For a lot of them, clearly, when they have the opportunity to wield power, they don't know how to do it, and they don't do it effectively. Yeah. So maybe they just want to stay in the minority and yell. But for folks like Donald Trump, clearly he does want to be in power. And so the onus is on us to make sure that he loses by a wide enough margin so that, A, his whole inevitable stop the steal efforts in the aftermath of this November election fall flat, but B, so that moving forward, the rest of the party recognizes that he is too toxic of a figure, and this is too toxic of an agenda to actually have any effectiveness with voters. And so you can either change track, or you can continue to lose at the hands of this guy who we've already lost with in 2018, 2020, 2022, 2023, and hopefully now in 2024.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be so few of them. They'll be like the Who's in Whoville. We are here. We'll be like, whatever. We're going to be over here governing. Yes. I do feel all things are possible. We had your buddy Lucas Kuntz on. He is within striking distance of fisting aficionado Josh Hawley, as we like to call him.
Yeah, fisting aficionado. I'm gonna just let that one hang.
Probably best you do.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
But I believe all things are possible. He is hilarious. And by the way, just send him a quick text that he should join us Saturday night in Kansas City with your other friend, Glenn Kirshner. Parties
I
in
will.
Kansas
And
with Jess
also,
Piper.
I need to say, he is just the exact kind of person that we want in government.
Yeah.
He is so 100% the kind of person that would represent his constituents to a degree that Josh Hawley is physically incapable of.
Yep, absolutely. Brian, please come back soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
It was so great to joining you.
Well, election season is a sweet time of the year, right? As candidates coat their messages with lots of sugar to get your vote. Yeah, I said that. Now you can enjoy the sweetness of the election with authentic candidate cookies with the likeness of Kamala and Donald on your favorite butter cookie made by the famous deli in Chicago, Max and Benny's. You can purchase these once-in-a-lifetime cookies on the Stephanie Miller, Tom Harmon, and John Fugelsang websites. To order, go to our websites, click on the banner for cookie candidates, or go directly to their website, cookiecandidates.com.